Hello out there. We are on the air. Oh, it worked. Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another edition, another episode, another day of the daily Bitcoin journey. How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? Post 9/11 hangover today. Not hungover. I did shave though. I don't know if you guys can notice that or not. I got a bit of a different look today. New shirt, not new, but new to me. From Value Village. Why would you buy new clothes when you can spend a fraction of them and then buy some sats with it instead? It's kind of cool, though. It's like a panda riding a giraffe, drinking some coffee. Cheers. The Daily Bitcoin Journey. This is a show that we do every day, 9 a.m. Eastern, and we talk about Bitcoin, mostly Bitcoin. But as we're going to talk about today, I kind of named this one differently than what the show is going to be about. It has something to do with it in a way, but what I really want to talk about is at the end of the show. And it's not so much about Bitcoin. It really has nothing to do with Bitcoin, this show and this everything we're doing here. But we'll save that for now. So in the meantime, we're all going to be aboard the Bitcoin train. This show focuses on actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. And it's been, we've been pretty steady here. We got Django in the chat. Good morning, Django, a Bitcoin journeyman. We got Timber Crasher, another Bitcoin journeyman. We got Jason. We got Johnny Midas. Well, I thought that was a guy throwing up. But it looks like a sunrise. HFLM, morning. Black Hat. Yeah, this is also kind of newer. I have a lot of hats in the basement, but I try to limit my taking of the hats. So I just clean these up. This one's a fresh clean on this one. Pretty nice hat though. By the way, let me speaking of this hat, let me see what I can do for you guys here. Oh, Arnie might be here. Maybe he just left. Let me see. Yeah. He just left. But he might be coming back. We'll see. I was going to give you guys a discount code in case you ever want to do some shopping on King Golf. I forget what it is. Try 88 sats. Try that one. I think that's either 10% off or 15% off. But you can use the code 88 sats. If you need some, oh, there's Arn. If you need some golf stuff, we got head covers. That's kind of our main thing, but we also have really nice hats. We have many nice hoodies, jackets, vests, polos, zips, more like lifestyle stuff, I would say. That's what we try to do. We don't try to make it too golfy, but just stuff you could wear either on the golf course or out with your friends. So check it out, KNG, King, and right there too, kinggolf.ca if you want to get some stuff. There's been a few people from within the 88 Sats community who have purchased some stuff from 88 Sats, but try that discount code, 88 Sats. See what it gets you. Okay, let me see what we got here for news. Actually, we don't really have much for news, but I don't know what this show is going to be like today, to be honest with you. I should have called this one No Agenda Thursdays because I do have some stuff to talk about, but it's not going to take a whole lot of time. So I guess, we kind of freestyle most shows, but I have, if you have anything you want to discuss today, any questions, any topics, anything, we'll do no agendas today, kind of, because I'm not going to be here tomorrow. So if you have anything that you want to discuss or any questions, then is Rabbit Hole Recap on right now? We got to compete with Rabbit Hole Recap. That can't be true, is it? I think it is. Son of a gun. Oh well, we're here. Why are they doing it so early? Messing with me. Okay, let's get to the mempool. See what's going on there. In the pool of mems. If anybody's somewhat new to Bitcoin, somewhat new to the channel here, mempool, and it actually took me quite a while to figure this out myself. But the mempool is essentially every time you send a Bitcoin transaction. And yesterday I encouraged everybody here to try sending a Bitcoin transaction of your own if you haven't yet. But when you send the transaction and you broadcast it, it goes into the mempool. That's where it hangs out for a while. It stays there. Your transaction will just sit in the mempool until you pay enough of a fee, high enough fee to be put into a block. And once that transaction gets put into a block, it's there forever. It lives there forever. Cannot be changed. It's absolutely immutable. So when you send a transaction, it sits over here on this side of the line, the mempool. And then when you set your fee high enough, it gets put into a block. So just a little Thursday Bitcoin education there. But we're currently, we passed another 1,000 blocks here. We got 861,013 block height. And fees are still incredibly cheap. The Foundry got the last one. Marapool. Actually, we have a video to watch here on Marapool right away. Kind of a different one, a weird one. They are. Harney's here. All right. So we got, that's the mempool for today. I don't have any metrics today either. But let's watch this. You know what I forgot to do yesterday? We forgot to do our Bitcoin well giveaway. So we'll do that right now before I forget. By the way, Arnie's here. Digging into something pretty hard. Better not disturb him. Okay, hold on here. Hold on. Let's get logged into the Bitcoin well. I have been slowly. It takes so much time. Anytime you want to make a change in your life or update a process or whatever it is, it takes so much time. So what I'm doing right now is I'm in the process of kind of changing all of my passwords. And I know this sounds like horrible advice, but hear me out. I'm in the process of changing all my passwords to be the same thing. Sounds crazy, I know. Not all of them though. Just the accounts and just the platforms and profiles that if somebody hacked me, I wouldn't really care. Like there's nothing that they could do with that information or with my account. You know what I mean? Like Bitcoin Well, for example, if somebody were to hack my Bitcoin Well account, what are they going to do? Buy me some Bitcoin? So I just want to really simplify all my passwords that don't really have a significant amount of risk, just to free up some brain capacity for me. But then the ones that do matter, like my email account that's kind of connected to all of them, my online banking, I guess, would be one of them. Any important accounts that if somebody did gain access to, you'd be in some trouble. Then I've been using my cold card to generate a password that's not something that I come up with either. So somebody would have to work pretty hard to get access to that. So that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. And like I said, it does take time, but you just got to be patient with it. Okay, so we're going to do this Bitcoin wishing well toss. I did realize yesterday that I didn't do it on the show, so I apologize for that. But we're going to do it today. So here we go. Get your phones out, get your Lightning wallets out, press the send button, which again seems weird, but press the send button, and the first person to get this one today is going to win some sats. Also, shout out, I think it was Cold Deck. I'm pretty sure it was Cold Deck who sent the sats to Arnie the other day. I noticed in his wallet. So thank you for that. I'm pretty sure it was Cold Deck. So here we go. We're going to redeem. Someone's going to win some free sats. I like checking this unclaimed just to see if there's some free sats kicking. Here we go. $500 sats again today. I was going to say something recently, but I didn't want to jinx it. But that wishing well has been working for us. We went on a little bit of a stretch there where it seemed like every second day it was just freezing on us, which was costing me a whole bunch of tosses into the well. It's very annoying, but we're on a bit of a streak here, so I don't want to jinx it. But we've had some success here on the Bitcoin well lately. Okay, so let me just scan this, make sure we're good to go. Yeah, I don't think it's working. Okay, well, congrats whoever won those sats. Those are courtesy of the Bitcoin well and the daily Bitcoin journey. So, Bitcoin well, if you haven't yet, let me check to see who's been. Let me get off here. Let me check to see. Not too many this week. I guess we haven't really done a whole lot of these, but anyways, make sure to get yourself an account. Bitcoin well, they are a sponsor of the show. They give away Bitcoin to somebody in the community every show. So get yourself an account, bitcoinwell.com/Jor. If you're in Canada or if you're in the US, you get 5 free tosses into the wishing well. And there was somebody within the Living the Future community said they went to a meetup. I don't know if it was a Bitcoin well meetup, but they won some free tosses into the wishing well at the event. So that's kind of cool. So just for signing up, I think you got to buy like $100 or sell like $100, and then you get 5 free tosses, which equals free Bitcoin. Plus, they're a great exchange. They're what I've been using pretty much exclusively for the last little while, Bitcoin well. You can do a ton of different things. So if you're in Canada, if you're in the US, make sure you grab yourself an account at the Bitcoin well. So let's start the show today. Let me check on the zaps here. Who's over here? Can we confirm that Rabbit Hole Recap is live right now? What the hell is their problem? Okay, I just see NPubs over here. So somebody's up 420 sats. I see a good morning, and I see a morning crew. No names, just NPubs, which, isn't a terrible thing. But I'll try to figure out who they are and what they're up to. It'll load, I'm sure. We did our golf show on Zap.stream last night, and I think it was the Grinder who sent us a little zap on there. So the beauty about Zap.stream, and I think I've talked about this before, but if not, we do our golf show every Wednesday night. So if you're on the channel here, if you're a golfer, if you have any interest in killing some time listening to some golf chat, the show is called The Kingdom, or a Kingdom Golf Show. So it's on I post everyone on 88 Sats radio channel. We did it on Zap Stream last night as well. It's probably costing us more than it's making us on there, but at the same time, we just need more stuff happening on Zap Stream. So I got an itchy nose. Okay, I see Letha. It was Letha who's at 420. So thank you, Letha. Good morning. And I see Ahsoka, and I still can't see the other one there, but we'll move on for now. So let's get to this piece of news here. This is a video I wanted to watch. Man, I got an itchy nose. Kind of like Jack Mahler's. I saw he was itching his nose, and people were accused of being on drugs. And similar to him, similar to his experience and his after comments on it, I have never tried that stuff before. Never in my life. I've never done any more. I've never experimented with anything more than the marijuanas. And I'd probably never will. Maybe if I'm like 80 or 90 years old and I get like a diagnosis of 30 days, I might go pretty hard at that time. But I mean, why wouldn't you? You got nothing to lose at that point. Okay, so I want to show this video here today because I mean, we usually here. Let me put it on there for a sec. How can I take this down? There we go. Okay, so for the most part, I mean, this is a very bullish focused show here, 88 Sats, the daily Bitcoin journey, obviously. But we do got to watch things that, we need to be aware about, whether it's risks, things about Bitcoin that we don't necessarily love. And this is one of those things. So this is a video. It's a small town. I don't forget what the name of it is, but the citizens of the town are complaining about the noise of the Bitcoin mining. So let's check this out. It's 3 minutes long. I don't know if I can speed it up or not. Oh yeah, I can. So it'll be quicker than 3 minutes, but I do want to show this because this is something that not everything's sunshine and rainbows within Bitcoin, truly. And as good as Bitcoin is for the world, for energy, for all these different things, there are downsides of Bitcoin. And this is a big one. This is a big one. So let's watch this video. It'll be about 2.5 minutes long, and then we'll discuss.
My daughter had a seizure on the 4th of July.
In the small town of Granbury, Texas.
Our grandson was one of them. He started having fluid leak out of his ears, had 4 ear infections in 4 months.
People reported they were getting sick.
I was walking to my barn, and it felt like I got hit in the chest by a baseball.
Deanna Lakey, a nurse, says she ended up being the patient.
And then I started becoming sick.
Sorry, sweetheart.
I just felt like that I was going to die.
Then at a town meeting where she heard other people blame a nearby Bitcoin mine for their illnesses, it clicked.
We live very close to the Bitcoin farm, and we are definitely subject to the sounds that are going on 24 hours a day.
Marathon Digital owns and operates this Bitcoin mine here in Granbury.
The Bitcoin
a massive
farm.
network of fans cooling off thousands of computers, creating cryptocurrency.
And how loud is this noise? Describe it to me.
So it's like sleeping with a vacuum cleaner in your bed.
Cheryl Shadden lives across the street.
This is the noise at my barn, which is just a couple hundred yards away from my house.
And believes the noise is making her sick.
My ears buzz 24/7. I've got headaches. I've got dizziness. And
Residents say it's even affecting the animals.
I had a dog that for the last year, she was ripping her fur out.
While there's no direct evidence linking the crypto mine to these ailments, Dr. Michael Osborne, a researcher and doctor at Massachusetts General Hospital, says there is research showing there could be a correlation between persistent noise and health impacts.
It's certainly possible and plausible that long-term exposure to these sort of stressful insults could lead to adverse health consequences.
A clinical audiologist in Granbury says more patients are seeking his help.
This summer, we've probably seen a significant increase of 100 to 150% more patients complaining about noise exposure.
0.6, I measured it.
During our recent visit to Granbury, we checked out the noise for ourselves. Still audible, but lower than what residents say they're used to.
We're still getting readings up close to 70.
Members of the community are demanding that Marathon turn down the volume. In a statement to NBC News, Marathon said it holds itself to the highest health and safety standards. Marathon saying they recently broke ground on a sound wall and are expecting to transition 50% of the mine to quieter cooling technologies by the end of the year. The company also says it's investing millions of dollars to reduce the perceived loudness of the facility. As a result, all levels measured around the facility are well below state and county law sound limits. There is no established link, medical or otherwise, between Marathon's operations and the ailments that are being alleged. Back at the Lakeys, they say their dream home has turned into a nightmare.
We are not complaining. We are not fighting it. We are asking for help to save our lives.
Kathy Park, NBC News, Granbury, Texas.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
Shut up. Shut up, dipshit. Okay. So that clip there was, so it says residents of Granbury, Texas claim that the constant noise from Marathon's nearby Bitcoin mine is making them sick. That's from Bitcoin News, another sponsor of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. Best place to get all of your news outside of this show. But a couple things on that. I mean, it's not funny. I'm not going to make fun of these people. That sounds like literal hell to me. I got a couple Bitcoin miners, just bit axes running in here. And when the either overcools or overheats or loses connection, and the fans start pumping, like it's loud. And if I was subjected to that noise all day, all night, I would lose my mind too. Like I truly feel bad for these people. And so you think about that, and then I truly don't think that that's what Bitcoin mining was designed to be. I don't think that and I don't think that it will be like that in say 20 years from now. I know that the Bitcoin mining is very early, very new industry, lots of infrastructure, lots of investment pouring into it right now. But I really don't think that in 20 years from now, this is going to be the case. I don't think we're going to have big mining sites like that. I just don't, because it doesn't really make sense. If I was a resident of that town, I would be pissed. As much as I love Bitcoin, as much as I'm in favor for Bitcoin and all of the things that surround Bitcoin, I would be pissed if they put up a Bitcoin mine like that in my town. I would, especially if I was, if they put it far out of town or out of sight and out of noise, out of sound. I mean, it'd be a blessing for the town. But when you have to live right across the street from something like that, that's insane. That should not be allowed, truly. And I think we will get to a point where they'll shut that down, which will be a good thing for Bitcoin, I think. I don't think that that's what Bitcoin mining was meant to be, just a bunch of, like a solar farm almost. I don't think that that's what it was meant to be. I think it's meant to, so you can hear the miner firing up right now. I think it was meant to be in every single home. I think it was meant to be in stranded areas of Earth where we have no ability to set up infrastructure there, so that they can provide, or they can convert that natural energy like waterfalls, wind, solar, convert that directly into Bitcoin instead of having to sell it to somebody, the energy. I think that that's where we'll slowly go towards. And I think that companies like Marathon, even though they seem like they're a big thing right now, I don't think that they're going to be around in 20 years from now. I really don't. This being one of the reasons, but the mining industry itself is so difficult. And unless you're able to find the cheapest source of electricity, I think you're going to die within the Bitcoin mining industry. As it gets more and more competitive, as there's more and more pushback from residents in towns like this, I think that big sites like this are going to disappear. And I could be wrong about that, of course, but that's just my take on it. That's my prediction. And that's what I hope happens as well. We got Plunger over there. I still can't see who that other NPub is. But anyways, Ahsoka says, honestly, the noise, it would drive me nuts. But the victims, they were laying on a bit thick for the camera. I agree. But here's the thing. When you're trying to get something like that changed within your community, you have to exaggerate a little bit. And don't get me wrong. I'm sure that they are exaggerating. I'm sure that they have all these negative things about Bitcoin. And you have one thing in your head about it, and then all of a sudden it's making a lot of noise, and then that kind of accelerates your thinking around it and your hatred for it. So I do agree. I think that there's probably a little bit of embellishment there, but at the same time, like, think about that. Every single day of your life, every waking moment of your life, you have to hear that noise where it just becomes ingrained into your brain. Like, I do believe that there is something there in terms of health issues. All right. What do we got here in the chat? Look at this. We got F-150 DEIC from South Florida. Good morning. We got James Bond in the house. We got Rick Costa, our guy. Choo-choo. Smash the like button. Let's see how we're doing for that today. Oh, you know what today is? Today's Open Sats Thursdays. I forgot. Oh, no, I put it on there. Good. So all the zaps today from Zap.stream, I know we're competing against the big boys here with RHR, but all the zaps today are actually going to go towards their fund, Open Sats fund. So Letha has zapped 420, and all the other zaps today will be going towards the Open Sats fund. We have about 30,000 sats, and I think that there's more in there already. But what was I checking here? Oh, YouTube. We don't need to know. I trust you guys and girls. Silver Fox Duncan's in the house. James Bond dropping by to say hello. Have a good day, brother. Oh, he's got lots of different good mornings here. Like button should be freely smashed. Our pal Plunger just zapped 210 sats for the Open Sats fund. Thank you. Muslim Bitcoiner. We're halfway through September and the spring getting loaded already. I agree. And if you look at historically, it seems I was unaware of this when we were heading into September. I might have made a few different decisions financially, but I wasn't aware of the fact that September has historically been one of the worst months for Bitcoin's performance. Historically, I mean, it hasn't done a whole lot so far, It's dropped a little bit. It's back to, I'm sure, 58,000 today. But September has been historically one of the worst months performance-wise for Bitcoin, fiat price. But then October, November, December, January, that's when it ramps up. So I agree here. The spring is getting loaded. Cold Deck says, anyone know if you can set limit orders for a buy on Bitcoin? Well, I tried it a couple of days ago and it got slippage of 30% on my order. I haven't tried that. I haven't tried any limit orders on Bitcoin. Well, that does seem pretty aggressive though. Agree. Noise should be mitigated, but making them sick. Come on. That's a good one. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. I feel like if I had that noise in my head, it would just kind of throw me off completely. And I mean, it's probably not making everybody sick there, but some people would be more susceptible to it, more fragile, I guess. Fragile humans would be more likely to be sick from that. I don't know. It's tough to say. All right. Plunger says that would mean September is the best month to buy Bitcoin. That's a great point. That is a great point. All right. So where are we here? 26 minutes. Let's look at a few things here before we start. So as we were just talking about, the price of Bitcoin itself, the fiat price of Bitcoin, has honestly been sideways for how many months? 2 months, 3 months? It seems like we've been at 58K. It's like Groundhog Day. Every day the guy rolls over. What's his name? Bill Murray. He rolls over every single morning at the same time with the same song playing and lives the same day. It seems like that within Bitcoin right now with the $58,000 stuff. But as I've said before, like 58,000 is much better than 78,000, in my opinion. Better than 88,000. Because are you really going to sell any Bitcoin at 78,000? Are you going to sell any Bitcoin at 88,000? Are you going to sell any Bitcoin at 158,000? Like until it gets to 58 million, I'm not selling any. So I want it to stay low for now. I really do. And it is kind of annoying because, you know, you want your friends to be getting in. You want there to be a whole bunch of excitement. You want, you know, the new Bitcoin song. You want all these different things. But at the same time, it's like we have such a rare opportunity here. It's such a rare opportunity right now to get as much of this stuff as we possibly can. And I was listening to, I think it was the Bitcoin Mechanic. He was talking about Whitney Webb and her real black pill stuff about Bitcoin. And I haven't got through the whole episode today yet, so I didn't want to talk about it much today. But she was talking about the fact that, you know, how much the BlackRock's buying, how much the US government has, how much the governments are going to be able to buy. And I was just thinking, like, the thing with Bitcoin is that we do not get to decide who buys Bitcoin. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, is that Bitcoin is for everybody. It's for enemies. So yes, BlackRock can buy Bitcoin. Yes, America, China can. The worst people on the planet, all of Jeffrey Epstein's buddies can buy Bitcoin. I'm sure Bill Gates has a ton of Bitcoin. There's nothing that we can do about that. The only thing that we can do is get as much as we possibly can and take it off the exchanges and get rid of their ability to continue to manipulate the price. The fewer amount of Bitcoin on the exchanges, the less ability they have to manipulate the price and keep it down and buy more of it and trick people. So that's going to be the second part of the show today. Is I'm going to do like a little clip here. I'm going to post it on the channel. And what I really want you to do, what I encourage you to do, is share it with your friends. If you have any social media platforms, if you have like a group of, you know, a group chat, whatever it is, just say, take 20, I want to keep it kind of short. So take 15, 20 minutes today. Watch this video. I hope you'll have a little bit better understanding of why I'm so excited about this and what kind of a difference it can make in the world. Because I really think that people's minds are starting to open up to Bitcoin as a way around the government. People are pissed off right now, right? Your friends, your family, your coworkers, people are pissed off right now at the government. And so I think that we're at this time right now, right before the big run up, where people should be getting as much as they can. New people, us, everybody should be. So that's what I want you to do. I'm going to challenge you to do that today. Send it to just a couple friends. And what I would do with that is I would say, here's the link. If you have any questions, just reach out. And if you want to buy some Bitcoin, here's my link to do it. And then give them like a 3-step thing of how to do it. And you might not even need to. They might just come to you afterwards and ask for your help. But it's nice to give them the option there. All right. So how this whole thing started and where this idea came from and what I wanted to call it. What was it? What was the name of this? I came up with this at about 11 o'clock last night as I was half asleep. Actually, you know what? Hold on. We're going to do something else right now. Because I got to find this. And I want to make sure I get it right. Okay. So before we do that, sorry, I don't mean to jump all over the place here, but there was a question that I wanted to discuss from YouTube. So I told them that I would answer it. I said I was going to discuss it on the show. That was 8 days ago. So I'm 8 days late on this one. So this was the question before we get into the Bitcoin stuff. This was the question that DNind78 asked. So I posted a picture. This was on, oh crap. This was the picture that I posted. I said, earn in Bitcoin, grow on Nostr. That was the post. And I said, everything else is fake. So somebody commented on that post saying, this is the question. Could Nostr be used by photographers to build a following and promote a Prince website? Genuine question, as I have no idea, but you and others have put this on my radar. I'm on Instagram, but stopped using it a while back, but now I want to do some more with it and push my photography forward again. Cheers for all your good information, mate. So the question is here with Nostr and for photographers, could Nostr be used to promote the photography, to promote the website? And what I would say to that is there's no better place to be promoting your stuff right now than on Nostr for a few reasons. Number one, this is where everybody's going to be going to. You want to do this with everything in your life. If you have the ability, if you have the foresight and the vision to be able to predict where people are going to be in a couple of years, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to start growing. And that's what Nostr is right now. Gary V always talks about the underpriced attention, which means that there's more observers, I guess, or what would you call them? People who scroll. I don't know, followers, I guess. There's more people watching than there are people creating. That's what Nostr is right now. There's more people there than actual creators. All the creators are still on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. That's where everybody still is. But there's a ton of attention. There's a ton of eyes on Nostr, and there's not a whole lot of people who are actually doing any sort of creating. So that creates the arbitrage there. That's the underpriced attention that you want to seek. So I'd say Nostr is at the absolute pinnacle of that right now. So that's the first one, is you do have the ability to get there before other people. You do have the ability to grow your network within Bitcoin. I'm guessing you're a Bitcoiner if you're watching my shows. So the other part there too is, yes, great place to promote your photography, push people to your website. But the other thing about this is that all you have to do is just start posting pictures on there. I post pictures every day on there, and I'm not a photographer. I don't have a photography company, but I post pictures more than I do on Instagram, on Nostr. So the beauty of that is not only could you sell your prints, not only could you push your website, but if you actually post your pictures there first, above all other platforms, you're actually going to get Bitcoin for that. People are going to see value in your photography probably, and they're going to zap you. There's a photographer on Nostr, and his name is Malos. And I actually talked about him a while ago because he was showing videos from the Venezuela riots that were going on. So the guy's name is, I think it's Malos. I'll just double check that. Malos 10, yeah. Photographer from Venezuela. Bitcoin is helping me to make a living in Venezuela. So what this guy does is he just takes a camera out on the street every day, takes pictures of people and things around the city, and people can share it, people can comment on it, but most importantly, people can zap him and people can send him actual Bitcoin. So on Instagram, even if you had the nicest picture on the whole platform that day and you got a ton of likes and you had a bunch of people following you, that doesn't really lead to anything. That's very artificial. There's no actual value in that. Likes, follows, it's all just an illusion. But you post pictures on Nostr and you could edit it all. You could, there's no fancy like filters and shit like there is on Instagram, but you can do that ahead of time and you can just post it to Nostr. And if people like it, if people get value from it and want to support you, they can send you Bitcoin. So think about this with any industry. And this is kind of what I've been doing for King Golf and stuff. The cool thing about it, and maybe this is just because everything's so early on Nostr right now, but the cool thing about it is that, you know, you have a product. So I take pictures of like our hats, of our head covers, of the work that we do for King Golf. And so not only am I growing awareness, not only am I promoting the products, not only am I getting more attention for King Golf, but just with a picture, instead of somebody having to buy it, people can actually just zap the picture, which is wild. I don't even have to sell the actual head cover, but people see it, they like it, they want to support. They can actually just send Bitcoin for it. Whether it's 20 sats, 200 sats, 2000 sats, it doesn't matter. There's more on Nostr than there is anywhere else. There's the only place where you can send and receive real value instead of artificial likes, comments, follows. All the bullshit that we think matters doesn't. So absolutely, I think that there's no better place than Nostr for anything, but especially for something like photography. I think that the early people, I mean, there are some people on there already, but the people who figure this out early are going to make absolute hay on there. And you're going to be able to get ahead of yourself, far ahead of everybody else. So that's the thing now is like when people come onto Nostr, this guy, Malos10, people know him as the photographer. So when people ask, who should I follow? Who should I trust? Who should I interact with? People will say that. And that's what you want to be in a position where people are sharing your stuff on Nostr and people trust you and you grow your web of trust and your network. And so when everybody shows up, you're already way ahead of them, way ahead of them. So that's what I would say on that. So that was a great question though. And don't limit that to just photography though either. If you make quilts, if you make stained glass, if you pan for gold, if whatever you do, just take pictures of it. And if you're selling it or if you're not, it doesn't matter. Just take pictures of it, give a bit of context, and you'll find people on Nostr that have similar interests to you. And they could send easily Bitcoin without anybody's permission, without paying anybody a fee. Peer-to-peer on Nostr can send you value. It's incredible. Truly, truly incredible. Oh, I see My Path to Fire over here. So I miss all these comments here, but it says, can they sound wallet in terms of the Bitcoin mining? I'm not sure. It's kind of weird that they haven't done that, honestly, because there's sound walls in like the bigger cities from the traffic. And I don't think that they had sound walls there, honestly. But anyways, good morning to My Path to Fire. I can see your comments now. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. Okay, so back to where I was going with this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to spend, like I said, 15 minutes talking about this stuff. I got a couple different things to show here, presentation wise. We're going to spend about 15, 20 minutes on this. And in the meantime, I'm not going to be able to look at comments or anything because I just want to talk to the camera here. But if you have any questions, any discussions for after that, we can extend the show a little bit. But other than that, we're going to end with this. So here's the thing, and this is what I wanted to call the show today, but this is what I'm going to call the clip. And it is that this has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Nothing. This whole thing, this channel, this movement, nostr, everything going on right now, this has nothing to do with Bitcoin. And I think that's such a barrier for people, because when people hear Bitcoin, they automatically have this baggage attached in their head, and it's not their fault. It's really not their fault. They've had 15 years of negative brainwashing, and they probably don't even realize that they've had it. But the media, the governments, everybody who doesn't want Bitcoin to succeed has been in their head saying how bad Bitcoin is. So at the end of the day, take Bitcoin out of this equation. This has nothing to do with Bitcoin. It doesn't. And kind of how I arrived at this theory late last night in bed is that I was watching a Bitcoin show, and there's two guys talking. I think one of them was American Hodl. Great guy. Great Bitcoiner's been around the space for a while, but I was just listening to the interview and the questions that they were asking. And like, you know, for those who have been through a few cycles, you know how intense people are about Bitcoin and like their journey there. And when I was watching it, I was thinking like, why the fuck am I watching this? Why am I listening to two people talk about Bitcoin? Like, am I that much of a nerd or a psychopath that I'm actually interested in them talking about Bitcoin? But then it came to me, and I realized that none of this has anything to do with Bitcoin. None of it does. What this is about is truth. What this is about is responsibility, transparency, fairness, freedom, sovereignty, and leaving that system. We're kind of at the point now where whatever side of the political aisle you're on, you know that something's wrong here. And we're getting to a point where I think most people are starting to realize that whatever side they choose, whichever way they vote, nothing is going to change in that old system. Nothing. And so people's minds are starting to wake up to this. And I think that this is the perfect time to try to really push that part, that this has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Forget that word even exists. This is so much more than Bitcoin. And so if you think about that in terms of truth, how does this bring truth to the world? Well, the world that we live in now, the system that we live in now, we have no truth. We have no transparency from our government. Zero. We pay them taxes. They take a significant amount of money out of our paychecks every week, and we have zero transparency. We have no idea what they're doing with that money. They tell us. They have all these fancy news conferences. They have all these budget reports, but do we actually know? Have they ever actually been audited? Has our Bank of Canada, has the Federal Reserve, are these places, have they ever been audited before? So when you start there, when you have no idea how much actually exists, how many dollars are out there, how many dollars they've printed in the last couple of years, how many zeros they've added to their debt, when we have no way to actually verify that, that's a big problem, because you're starting from a foundation that's totally broken. And that has a trickle-down effect into every aspect of our lives. That's kind of where we are right now. We have no truth. We have no transparency. And Bitcoin brings that, or I'm going to try not to say Bitcoin much because, again, this has nothing to do with Bitcoin. But this currency and this network and this movement, it brings truth. And it brings truth to the right people, because for people like us, for the little guy, there are tools available where you can make it very secure, very private. For the governments, for the people who need transparency, imagine this world where we're living in a Bitcoin standard. That's our unit of measurement. That's our foundation that we have, this truth. Imagine a world where we know our government's address, we can see their account, and we can see every time they move Bitcoin out of there. And every time they move Bitcoin out of that wallet, out of that address, they have to explain where it came from. And when you have that, when you start with that, that's a huge shift for the world, for transparency, because we have none of that right now. They tell us how much they spend. We're sending 2.3 billion over to Ukraine today. We're sending 1.4 trillion to Pakistan for gender surgeries. They say these numbers, but we don't know where it came from. We don't know who it got paid to. We don't know how much they got from it. If you could see an account there, a transparent account, their balance, and every time something moves out of there, you could see it, and they have to explain where that went to and who got it, that changes everything. That's the transparency that we need, and that's what the transparency that Bitcoin brings to the world. So truth and transparency, that's obviously the big one, the biggest one. Freedom is the second one. And I know that freedom, the word freedom, for some reason, people are like, oh, you're a freedom lover, or a freedom, like the convoy. They just painted these people with such a negative brush on them, for people who just wanted to make decisions for themselves. That's it. They didn't want anybody to be able to make decisions for their family, for themselves, and for their body. And they were labeled these crazy conspiracy theorists, freedom-loving people. But that's what this movement is about. It's Bitcoin itself. If you read the business plan, essentially, it's called the white paper, but the business plan for Bitcoin, the idea is that they want to, Bitcoin separates money from state. When you take away the ability for a small group of people to create money out of thin air, when you take that away from them, they have nothing. The only power that they have is the ability to print money, the ability to create money. And they can give it to their friends. They can bribe people. They can use it for evil without nobody knowing about it. There's no transparency. It's a complete centralized control structure that we need to get away from, because it's the only thing that matters right now. So it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. It has everything to do with freedom, separating us from the state. That's what we want. We want the ability to decide what to do with our money. You go to the bank now and you want to take out $10,000 of your money, and you have to explain to them why. Or you want to deposit money, where'd it come from? What? We've slowly got to this point where that's just been normalized, that this is how the world should be. It's not. The government, corporations, they should have no say in what we do with our money. And so it's the vessel to financial freedom. Not because you're going to get rich, which you might, just how the Bitcoin works in terms of growing demand and shrinking supply. You will get financially free, but you want to just have the choice of what you do with your money. That's the big thing there. And that's what Bitcoin provides. So kind of going to the truth and the freedom part of this, this is why Bitcoin works without getting too technical around it. So if you send a Bitcoin transaction, if I sent a Bitcoin transaction to you, and I'm sure people who watch this video have never sent a Bitcoin transaction before, but if you send a Bitcoin transaction, if I sent it to you, there's nobody in between there. There's no banks. There's no corporations who have the ability to stop that transaction. So I make that transaction. That transaction gets picked up and it gets broadcast to every single person running a Bitcoin node or software on the computer. The Bitcoin network is just a giant ledger of transactions. That's all it is. And so peer-to-peer, that's what it is. I'm sending you Bitcoin. There's nobody in between that can stop that or tell me that I can't spend it on this or ask me what this is for. There's nobody in between there. And when you send your first Bitcoin transaction, it is such a liberating experience because you don't have to ask anybody's permission. It's like giving somebody a $20 bill for a tip. Nobody knows I add that. Nobody knows that you have it now. So that's the truth. That's the freedom. And that's the sovereignty as well. But there's responsibility in there too. That's kind of the main friction point for a lot of people, I think, is actually having to take on the responsibility that we've never had before. We pay these fees. We deal with the censorship. We deal with the asking permission because we don't want the responsibility of actually holding our own money, right? And so Bitcoin, you have to take on that responsibility. And one thing I would say to anybody out there who is thinking about, who's fed up with that system, who wants to try this and just see what it's like. Nobody's going to tell you, or nobody's going to ask you to move all of your assets into this, but just start with like 1 or 2% of your portfolio, move it into there and start taking on slowly the responsibility of holding it yourself. There will be options that come up. So the longer you wait, the easier it gets, the less of an opportunity there's going to be in the future. But if you can take that on, if you can take that responsibility on, it's going to pay significant dividends in the future because not a whole lot of people are. So start with 1 or 2%, start with $100 or $200, buy some Bitcoin, figure out how to send it to yourself, how to store it, and just start there. Start very slow, because it is a very long process, a learning process. That's why the show's called The Bitcoin Journey, because we're all just going through this thing together. None of us really have any idea what's going on. We just know that we're tired of that system and we don't want that anymore. And Bitcoin is by far and away the best option for leaving that, which is the last part here. This has nothing to do with Bitcoin. It's just the tool that we're using to do it. This has everything to do with leaving that system. And it is going to be tough. It's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of guts, a lot of balls, the personal responsibility. But that's what you want to get to. You want to get to a place where you're not reliant on that system anymore. You have your own money. You get to decide to do with it. You find other people who share that same mindset, that same mentality. And that's who you interact with. And you want to get to a point where, I know starting with 1 or 2% isn't going to do much for you, but at least gets you in the door. And so you want to get to a point where you're not buying Bitcoin anymore, but you're earning Bitcoin. Whatever you're doing, whatever your value you're adding to the world, you're getting Bitcoin in exchange for that. And then you find other people who are also on this Bitcoin standard, and you buy and sell from them. And then you don't have to worry about the fiat rails. You never have to touch a bank account again. Once you get to that point where you're earning Bitcoin, you're buying your food, you're paying your snow clear in Bitcoin, you're paying your dog sitter in Bitcoin, that's where you want to get to. So you're not even in that system anymore. That's the end goal. The starting point is 1 or 2%. Learn how to do it. Start very slow. Take your time. But the end goal there is to completely leave that system, where it doesn't matter what the banks say. It doesn't matter what Justin Trudeau says in a press conference. You don't care, because you're not impacted by that anymore. But you have to start somewhere. So the last thing that I wanted to say here is that most people who aren't as familiar with Bitcoin, they focus solely on the price of Bitcoin. And I want you to know that the price of Bitcoin is completely irrelevant at this point. And you shouldn't even be looking at it. You should be buying Bitcoin. You should be learning how to protect that Bitcoin. And you should keep that for as long as you can. So if Bitcoin's at 58, if it's at 158, if it's at 1.58 million, it doesn't matter. You're going to keep that for 4, 8, 12. The more conviction you have over Bitcoin, the longer you're going to hold on to that Bitcoin. So go into it with a very long-term mindset, but don't worry too much about the price, because it's just an illusion. Remember what I said about the starting point, a broken starting point, in terms of we have no idea how many dollars are out there, how much debt is actually out there. When you don't have a good starting point, you can't really accurately measure anything, including Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the new measuring stick. And that's what's slowly happening here, is that land prices, housing prices, vehicle prices, every asset is being repriced by Bitcoin. If you look at a house from 2015, 2020, 2024, it's gone up in fiat value, in dollar terms. It's gone up. But if you look at it in Bitcoin terms, it's gone significantly down. So let's say it went from 250 to 350 to 450, 450,000. So it's doubled in dollars in the last 10 years. Seems great. But then you compare that to Bitcoin, where it's gone from one house costing 1,000 Bitcoin to 200 Bitcoin to 5 Bitcoin. So forget the dollar, forget that. That's not what matters here. But I will tell you one thing, or two things here. These are the metrics that we need to be looking at. Because when you understand the supply and demand part of Bitcoin, these are the only things that you need to be focused on. So this says, for the past decade, Tom Lee has stated that 90% of Bitcoin's performance can be predicted by the number of wallets and their activity. Wallet numbers continue to hit new all-time highs. So you can see here that this year, the number of non-zero Bitcoin addresses has surpassed 50 million. Non-zero. So, I mean, it could be 5 sats in that wall, but still, look at this trend. I'd say that that's a pretty important metric. All things considered, when you understand the supply and demand part of Bitcoin, the demand part matters. The supply part cannot be changed. It's written in the code, how much Bitcoin there is, how how much there will be next week. So that helps you fairly and accurately measure things. When you know how much the supply is, you can go to a website and see how much Bitcoin there is. You can figure out how much Bitcoin there's going to be in a year from now. So the supply part will not change. We know what that is. It's the demand part. And the higher the demand goes up while the supply is going down, very basic economics will tell you what's going to happen there. And that's why people say that it's going to go up forever, because it is. Bitcoin, as more and more people adopt it, as more and more demand grows for Bitcoin, while the supply part, the denominator, does not change, it can only move in one direction, which is up and to the right. So that's the first part. That's the demand. That's one metric that I think people should be more focused on than the price. But here's the other one. And I really didn't want to make this very complicated at all. But this one's important too. I think that this is actually the main metric that we should be focused on within Bitcoin. And that is the total energy being put into the Bitcoin network. So the real beauty of Bitcoin is that nobody has the ability to just create Bitcoin. Not like our dollars, not like our debt, where they can just print and add zeros to it. Nobody has the ability to just add Bitcoin. You cannot create Bitcoin. Think about a world where the governments did not have the ability to just create money out of thin air. That alone is the cause of the majority of problems we have here in society, is that a small group of people, our government, our central banks, have the ability to print money. So you can't do that with Bitcoin. And what you have to do is you actually have to put physical energy into mining Bitcoin. You plug in a machine, it spits out a bunch of guesses, and it tries to guess the next equation. And if you guess that, you get rewarded with Bitcoin. And that's how new Bitcoin are put into circulation. And this is the chart showing the amount of energy that's going into the network, the amount of people who are plugging in Bitcoin miners. This is the chart. It's called hash rate, but it's just energy, the amount of electricity going into the Bitcoin network. So you can see here, up until 2018, it was pretty much flat for the first 10 years. And you can see what's happened since then. Bitcoin network difficulty hash rate hits a new all-time high of 92 trillion. So those are the two metrics that you want to really pay attention to, is how much demand is there for Bitcoin, how many new wallets are being created, how many new Bitcoin exchange accounts are being created, how many people are using it, what's the demand like, and the hash rate, how many people are plugging into the network, how many people are competing for that next block to try to get paid in Bitcoin. That's what you want to pay attention to, because as those go up, the supply does not change. Keep that in mind. That's the main thing that I want you to remember here. The supply does not change. And when you have a fixed and scarce asset like Bitcoin, we don't have anything like that. Historically, it was gold. It was the most scarce and hardest asset because it's the hardest to get. That's what you want. That's what you measure things off of. And up until 1971, it did a pretty good job of doing that. But since then, we moved into this very high-tech world where it doesn't make sense to operate on a gold standard anymore, because I want to buy something in Cambodia. I'm not going to send them a thing of gold. If I want to go to the coffee shop, I'm not going to shave off a thing of gold for it. It's $2,000 now. You know how small that shaving would have to be to actually pay for things in gold? But with Bitcoin, I can send it to Cambodia for almost $0, zero sats. I can do that instantly to anybody with an internet connection. At the coffee shop, I can pay for my coffee with zero fees. Nobody else is getting a fee. MasterCard is not getting a fee. The business owner gets to keep that. So Bitcoin is the hardest. Money is the most scarce. It's the most transactable. You can send it anywhere on earth with an internet connection without asking anybody's permission. Nobody can get in between that and stop it. And it's the greatest asset that's ever existed. So what I would say to you, if you're somebody who's just thinking about getting into Bitcoin, or somebody you love sent you this video, just understand that none of this has anything to do with Bitcoin. Understand that. This isn't a bunch of people who are trying to buy Bitcoin today and sell it in a week for a profit. We're not trying to trick people into getting Bitcoin. We're trying to help people understand why this is so different. And that's the main barrier there, is because it is so different than the system that we have, is that people can't really wrap their heads around it. The majority of people can't. But when they can, as things get easier, that's when the opportunity will continue to be gone. So take a little bit of time. This is very important. Take a bit of time. Take a bit of your dollars, your illusionary dollars, convert it to Bitcoin, send it to yourself, learn how to protect that, and then just go from there. Go slow, very slow. I've been in this for over 4 years now, and there's still so much that I do not know, but that doesn't matter. I know how to protect it. I've learned that, and you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. That's where people get burned. So just know that whoever sent you this, or whoever's been talking to you about Bitcoin, it is truly because they care about you, nothing else. Because they do not benefit from you buying Bitcoin, and they do not hurt if you don't buy Bitcoin. Because if they don't buy Bitcoin, BlackRock's going to buy Bitcoin. The US government's going to buy Bitcoin. The Communist Party of China is going to buy Bitcoin. So it doesn't matter if you do or not. You buying Bitcoin does not impact me. These institutions are coming. They're not here yet. These countries are coming. They're not here yet. And all of these millionaires on the earth are coming, but they're not here yet. So this is the chance for the little guy to get as much of this crazy new currency, new investment, new asset, new property class while we can. So that's it. Start slow, go slow, and see where it goes. That was I felt like I didn't take a breath there for 20 minutes. But that was the point of the whole thing, is that none of this has anything to do with Bitcoin. That's just the name of it. That's just the name of it. It has everything to do with truth, freedom, responsibility, sovereignty, and getting out of that system that's making so many people miserable and sick. We need to get away from that. And Bitcoin is the best way, without a doubt. So I'm going to check the comments here again. Sorry for the, oh yeah, that was the interview. It was actually a pretty good interview, but I was watching it, and they're talking about, this is what I would say to people. I've been in here since 2014, and these are the things that I've gone through. And I mean, it's valuable information, but at the same time, I was like, why the fuck am I watching this? Like, why is this interesting to me? Why am I falling asleep to listening to two guys talk about Bitcoin? As Jason says, they tell us we have elections, but there's no way to verify it. That's the problem, is we have no way to verify anything right now. Elections, bank accounts, money that they're sending overseas. We have no way to verify any of that. And that's the biggest problem. There's no transparency there. Finally got on the Bitcoin well boat. Now must understand how to provide fiat there. Well, it's very easy. I think Bitcoin well is similar to any exchange that you use, where you can send an e-transfer, you can send a bank wire, you can send anything, anyway, to get it on there. And then you convert that to Bitcoin, the hardest money that ever has existed. Amity says only Bitcoiners can save the cats. That's true. That is true. All right, Bitcoin and Clyde says, Sup, Jordan Peeps, just finished up RHR. I can't believe those guys had the show at the same time. Bastards. Even on Open Sats Thursdays. Focus on having more sats today than you did yesterday. Rinse and repeat. 100%. And maybe we'll end with that, because I mean, I spent the last 20 minutes trying to explain that this has nothing to do with Bitcoin to people who aren't in Bitcoin yet. So if you are in Bitcoin and you understand and you comprehended everything I was saying there, this is the time. You should be taking all of your time, all of your energy, doing everything that you can and going absolutely fucking all in on this thing. And I cannot guarantee it succeeds. I have a very hard time finding reasons why it won't, but I can't guarantee it succeeds. But one thing I can guarantee is that you're going to regret not going harder on this thing. And even if it fails, at least you're on the right side of this. You're doing this for the right reasons. And I think that that's a very noble, it really is. It sounds silly, but it's a very noble thing to do. And don't focus too much if you're talking to your friends, family about it. If you send them that video and don't hear back, don't worry about it. Focus on you. Get as much as you can, because we're so close now. September has historically been the worst performing month. We are heading into the post-halving fall season, which is always fucking crazy. And there's going to come a time, honestly, I believe in the near future, where we're going to get way less Bitcoin for the fiat. And further down the road, there's going to be a time where you can't even exchange fiat for Bitcoin. So understand where we are right now. Understand what's coming, and understand that we'll never get this time back. We'll never have the ability to accumulate like we do today. Never. So just do what you can. Do what you can. Send that video to a couple people today. If you don't hear back, don't worry about it. Focus on you. Add as much value as you can. Convert that value into Bitcoin. Store it there. And you're going to be so much more better off. Your family's going to be. You're going to change the direction of your entire family. Pretty incredible. Emma T, do you think Bitcoin Well is good for small transactions? Wouldn't it create a lot of UTXOs? So one thing that I've been using, then that I've been loving in terms of UTXOs, is the Aqua wallet. Whether it's Fountain, whether it's Zap.stream, whether it's ZBD, whether it's Nostr, Minibits, what I've been doing is every time I get to like 5,000 sats, I just move it over to my Aqua wallet. So whether it's from Minibits, whether it's from Fountain, whether it's from ZBD, whether it's from Albi, every time I get to like 5,000 sats, I just move it over to Aqua. And you store it there on Lightning. And then when you want to move it, let's say you get to like 200,000 sats over a couple months or however long that takes you, you just flip it into Liquid, and then you convert that to Bitcoin for very low fees. And you can store it with a backup phrase, with a private key. You actually hold it, technically not, but you do, it's yours. It's not like Wallet of Satoshi where they just hold everything for you. It's actually yours. It's no Bitcoin on Lightning or Liquid is really you have possession of until it's in a UTXO in cold storage, but it's the closest thing to it. So what I would say to that is Bitcoin Well, I'm pretty sure you can send using Lightning or Liquid. So send it to your Aqua wallet. Let yourself build up a balance there for a while. And then once it gets to like 100,000 sats, 200,000 sats, whatever your personal threshold is for UTXO size, that's when you flip it to Liquid and then move it to Bitcoin on chain. Very cheap to do. I've done it several times now, moving from, because historically, if you're using like Phoenix, or if you're using Wallet of Satoshi, it's pretty expensive to swap between layer 1 Bitcoin and layer 2. It's not cheap. Like I'm pretty sure the threshold for moving on chain from Wallet of Satoshi is like 12,000 sats plus a fee. Whereas I moved it from Minibits to Aqua to Sparrow, and it probably cost me like 1,000 sats altogether, maybe 2,000 sats. But that's the best way to do it is move it to use Lightning or use Liquid. I'm pretty sure Bitcoin Well facilitates both. Move it to your Aqua wallet, build up a balance there for whatever your threshold is, flip it to Liquid, and then move it to on-chain Bitcoin. That's when it becomes yours. But until then, you save fees, you get bigger UTXOs, and Aqua wallet, I highly suggest it to anybody. So we got a couple more zaps over here I just noticed showed up. Silver Fox zapped 420 sats. Bitcoin and Clyde zapped 420 sats. More sats today than yesterday. That's all you should be focused on. is having more this week than you had last week, more this month than you had last month. If you can do that, you're going to be sitting pretty good. So big shout out to everybody who sends zaps in today for Open Sats Thursdays. I'm going to be creating a little spreadsheet. It's going to be very simple, but I'm just going to track every Monday we do for Arnie and for rescue dogs. And every Thursday we do for Open Sats. So I'm just going to, every day, every show, I'm going to just add it. And then I'll make the spreadsheet public. And then once we move into a UTXO, once we move it to Open Sats, you guys will be able to see that. So I want to keep that part very transparent. And I thought we could do it on zap.stream, but it seems like some of these goals and the funds they're kind of buggy. So I just want to make sure that everything's going to its proper home. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to clip that. The clip's going to be called "This Has Nothing to Do with Bitcoin." So keep an eye out if you enjoyed that. If you think some of your friends, family would maybe resonate a little bit more with that than someone trying to explain the 21 million, the network, the nodes, the mining. It can be high level. It can be very low level and very detailed, but I try to keep things as relatable as possible because I'm not a very technical guy myself. So keep an eye out. That I'll probably post that in the next hour, and then share it with your friends. Share it on your social media. And if people reach out, great. If not, fuck them. So have yourselves an amazing day. Make sure to get outside. Do something. Especially here in Canada, we're running out of days here for summer, which is very sad, very depressing, but just enjoy it. And there's going to be no show tomorrow. We have our year-end golf tournament, our Ryder Cup style golf tournament this weekend. So I'm heading to Brandon in a couple hours for the weekend. So I won't be doing a show tomorrow, but hope you enjoy it. Hope you have a great weekend. If you feel like giving any sats to our guy, Arnie, he made an appearance today earlier, but I think he's gone. He's gone. But that's where you can send it. To his wallet of Satoshi, adopted son 98 at walletofsatoshi.com. So thanks everybody. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening to that. And again, consider sharing it, consider posting it on your feeds, and have more sats today than you did yesterday, as Bitcoin and Clyde said. We'll see you first thing Monday morning. Bye-bye.